Hey everybody, welcome back to another video update for Ember, the mech versus kaiju game. Now, some organizational stuff here. We have been busy getting the company spun up into a real live dev company. So we went out, we had meetings with Unreal and AMD, and they've set us up on their developer relations program, and so we are all set to get their tier 1 support and help for the game. The other thing we've been working on is the Beast. Alessandro has been modeling the high poly Beast form. Now this is the melee form of the Tsihu that the humanoid transfers into when it wants to close rapidly for melee. It's very deadly, its bladed weapons can attack, it's going to have a beam weapon attack, and the fur or the spines on the back actually act like an iron ferrofluid, so they're going to animate in really dynamic and cool ways. We can't wait to get this into the game. Now, the other thing we've been doing is we've been getting a team together. We have over 12 part-time helpers on Ember, and so in order to coordinate everybody's efforts, we've had to go ahead and use source control, which is a way that lets us work on the project at the same time without stepping on each other's toes. So with 12 people, you can imagine that that gets pretty busy, but we're working on all sorts of projects. Not only are we working on the Unreal Engine itself, but we're working on the Ember authorization system, as well as the Ember backer site that you're going to be hearing and seeing more of very, very soon. It's in testing, and we're excited to talk about that and show it to you. Also up, everybody loves jetpacks, and so we've had Ben helping us out with jetpacks here. Now, obviously the feel isn't final, but you've got the basics here. We are able to thrust up and down, fuel is moving, and we're also experimenting with burst mode, so you can strafe left and right, forward and back, based on a velocity curve that we're going to be tuning here to see if we can get a really, really good feel for the jetpacks, even better than what we had in Firefall. Now, to do some of this stuff, we are working in a C++ version of the Unreal Engine. This is a custom version of the engine that we put together to include some additional plugins from other vendors like, say, TrueSky. TrueSky is a dynamic cloud system and weather system that allows us to sort of do day-night cycles and do dark skies with lightning. All of these sort of atmospherics that we think are going to make Ember look really, really sweet and give it that sort of real-world feel. And these clouds are actually real, so when you're gliding in the game, if you're at a high enough point, we actually can have you gliding through the clouds and getting that volumetric cloud effect working. Now, skies aren't the only thing that went into our custom Unreal Engine. We've also been working with Wise. Michael Bross has used Wise on a number of projects, including Firefall, and it's used on many, many games. Games like Overwatch from Blizzard use it, for example, and this allows us to do a lot of very advanced sound effects work. And for Ember, one of the key things is dynamic combat music. We want music to ebb and flow along with the actions of the player and the tension, the dynamicism of the combat that's happening around them. So Wise is an engine that'll allow us to actually do that sort of dynamic musical energy pacing within the game. So now on another front, we have Ricardo again with our basic submachine gun here. This is just a quick little demo of what that looks like in the Unreal Engine, and you can see he's done a good job here, and we're going to be adding tracer rounds to it and effects as time goes on. Now, Ricardo has been working on something else for us, and that something is gliding. You can't have a Firefall spiritual successor without gliding, and we've got some really slick hang glider mechanics here that are very realistic feeling, maybe a little too realistic. We're going to be tuning that to give it a more arcade feel in the game. And of course, we've talked about the grappling hook. This is the Tsihu weapon. You think you're safe when you're jetpacking, but are you really safe when the Tsihu have a grappling hook that can yank you out of the sky and stun you on the ground? We like this weapon so much that we actually think we're going to make it an unlockable for the player in the game itself. So if you research enough in your tech tree and you get enough Tsihu components that you can reverse engineer, you too can use a grappling hook against the enemies of the game. Gliding and shooting also work together. Here you can see a little bit of the mix of the two. It's already fun so far. It's already a blast. We do have to tune it, but it's a very exciting stage for the game, and I can't wait to let you guys have your hands on it in the OmniFrame movement demo, which is the first executable deliverable that backers can expect. Alright, so now you know it's time for our new section, Lore Drop, and this week it's all about Garrack Firstclaimer. The Gate Striders are the foremost explorers of the universe. They are the daring adventurers who are the first to traverse newly built D-gates to discover what lies beyond. Each new gate, a new destination, opening randomly in the cosmos, and the discoveries beyond can lead to riches or a quick death. A solar system with lush, habitable planets, an asteroid belt or nebula rich in rare minerals or gases, or the iron grip of a black hole were just some of the possibilities. And in each case, a gate strider would be there, first to dare, first to discover, first to name, and first to claim. A Firstclaimer. Of all the gate striders, Garrack had always been the boldest amongst them. She had a knack for choosing gates. By luck, sheer coincidence, or some hidden machinery of cosmic guidance, she would find world after world that enriched her sponsors and grew her fortune and glory. She was Firstclaimer to over 24 solar systems, and was always willing to push farther than anyone else into the unknown reaches of space. One day, Garrack pushed herself farther than she ever had. Plunging through the scintillating sheen of a newly constructed D-gate, she arrived at an expanse of nothing. Emptiness. This never happens. D-gates always open near gravitational wells, with a star and possible solar system always nearby, always within reach of sublight drive. But this time there was nothing except for the cold tapestry of unrecognized stars, draped across the distant blackness of space, with absolutely nothing in between. The rest of her Reaper team arrived soon after, and they too were puzzled by the lack of anything nearby. They pushed farther and farther into the inky blackness, finding nothing. After several weeks of this, they voted to begin construction of the return gate, a process that would establish a link pair and allow the cartographer AIs of both gates to begin churning through the astrological data and establish their true position in space. But by the time the gate was done, and long before the high-speed data chittering of the AIs had finally established their location, the fate of Garrack's team and their homeworld was already sealed. They had trespassed. They were in a black zone. It was forbidden. The advanced human splinter civilization known as the Inshiki had never been heard from in hundreds of years. But before they ceased communication with the rest of humanity, they left one very clear message: do not enter the Black Zones. Black Zones, a seemingly random collection of stellar coordinates strewn across the universe with no discernible pattern, were a legend, a dark story told in spaceports for laughs and shivers over a drink. No one had ever gotten close enough to one before. Nobody knew what they contained, or why the Inshiki had threatened destruction if humanity should ever find one. But Garrack didn't just find one at a distance. She had jumped right into the heart of one. Within a week of arriving, the Gate Striders had lost their homeworld. The Inshiki destroyed their star, sending it nova to smash their solar system. Garrack and her team rushed to return through the gate, only to find it collapsing, dissolving, twisting shut by some unseen force. Desperate not to be stranded, they streaked forward in their ships through the dying gate. But the only ship to make it through before the gate folded in on itself was Garrack's. The full fury of humanity and the majority of the Gate Striders soon descended upon her. She had brought about the anger of the Inshiki, and she had destroyed their homeworld. Accident or not, humanity turned their backs to her. She was alone, until one day she found Ember. Saldera Garrack, Firstclaimer of Ember, destroyer of the Gate Striders, and their last great hope for a new homeworld. A homeworld, and perhaps redemption.